The year was 2019, and I had just graduated from college in Lucknow with a degree that suddenly felt useless. Every interview ended the same way: polite smiles, empty promises, silence. My father, already drowning in bills, told me to prepare for government exams. Stability, he said, but stability doesn't pay electricity on time. So I took tutoring jobs for neighborhood kids, pocket change that barely covered bus fare. Every morning, I combed the classifieds like a starving man scanning for crumbs. That's when I saw it. Night caretaker needed. Simple task, high pay. Feed a dog. 10 minutes only. It sounded absurdly easy, suspiciously easy, but desperation is louder than doubt. I called. The man's voice was calm, young, almost friendly. He gave me an address wedged between commercial high-rises downtown, an old residential building I'd never noticed before. "Come tonight," he said, "and remember, 10 p.m. sharp." When I arrived, the structure looked abandoned. Peeling paint, dead windows, a rusted gate half hanging from its hinges. I nearly turned back. But then the door opened before I could knock. A pale young man about my age stood there, expression unreadable. "You're on time," he said. Inside, the smell hit me. Decay layered over damp concrete, and somewhere in the darkness, a dog barked. Not at me, but at him.
The dog was large, muscular, its fur patchy in places, eyes wide and restless. It strained against its leash, snarling at its own owner. "He's barking at you," I joked weakly. The young man ignored it. His face didn't move when he spoke. "Food is in the fridge. Every night at 10. Leave before 10:10. Don't speak to them." He gestured toward the living room. That's when I saw them. Two figures seated on an old sofa, backs turned toward us. Perfectly still. Too still. "Your parents?" I asked. His head snapped toward me. "Shh." His breathing grew sharp, almost panicked. "Never talk to them. Never stay late." The air in that room felt thick, like it hadn't been disturbed in years. The refrigerator hummed louder than it should have. I agreed to everything without asking why. He paid me the first week in advance. Cash, crisp notes left on top of the fridge. Easy money. That's what I told myself as I walked home. The next night, I entered at exactly 10 p.m. No knocking, as instructed. The dog lunged toward the door, desperate to escape. I held firm, fed him, left by 10:08. The figures on the sofa never moved, not once. For 6 weeks, nothing changed. Same silence, same smell, same 10 minutes. Until the night I decided to be kind. It was September 14th. I remember because my phone battery was at 14% when I checked the time, 9:59 p.m. I placed the food bowl down, but the dog didn't touch it. Instead, he stared at me with something that looked less like hunger and more like pleading. My chest tightened. 5 minutes, I whispered. I grabbed the leash from the table. As I clipped it on, I shouted toward the sofa, "Just a quick walk." No response. The figures didn't breathe, didn't shift. Outside, the night air felt cleaner than anything inside that apartment. The dog bolted with energy I'd never seen before. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Why did you take him out?" the young man demanded, voice distorted with anger. "He needed air," I replied. "Bring him back, now." The call ended. The dog began resisting, growling as if it knew something I didn't. When we stepped back inside, my watch read 10:13 p.m., 3 minutes late. I bent down to unclip the leash and froze. The weight in my hand changed. The fur dissolved beneath my fingers. I stumbled back. There was no dog, only a skeletal carcass, ribs exposed, flesh long decayed. The leash hung loosely around brittle bone. I screamed. The sound echoed unnaturally, swallowed by the walls. The sofa was empty. The figures were gone. Then every light shut off except the one above me. My pulse pounded in my ears. I ran toward the exit, but as I moved, lights flickered ahead and died behind me, as if guiding me somewhere else. When I reached the hallway, they stood there, the parents, Faces pale, eyes sunken, skin gray and loose like fabric hanging from bone. Not breathing, not alive. I collapsed, crawling backward. "He's our son's age," the old man rasped. The woman tilted her head. "Handsome, responsible." Their skin shifted, briefly appearing normal, like grieving parents dressed for dinner. "Your son hired me," I stammered. Silence. Then the old man spoke softly. "Our son left. The house stayed empty." Their eyes locked onto mine with hunger disguised as affection. "Do you live with your parents?" she asked. I nodded, trembling. Tears formed in her eyes. "We want this one," they whispered together. The lights died again. Hands, cold, impossibly strong, grabbed me. I was dragged across the floor, down wooden stairs, thrown into darkness. I didn't land on concrete. I landed on someone, a body. When a dim bulb flickered on, I saw them. Dozens of young men, my age, pale, lifeless, stacked across the basement like discarded mannequins. And beneath me, the young man who hired me, eyes open, mouth frozen mid-scream. My phone had no signal. The air was thick with rot. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time twisted in that basement. At dawn, the door creaked open. The skeletal dog stepped inside, joints cracking as it moved. A voice echoed from upstairs. "Eat everyone except that boy." I watched in horror as it obeyed, tearing into flesh that no longer resisted. By nightfall, nothing remained but stains. The dog stared at me last, hollow eye sockets fixed on my face before retreating. Then they came for me. They tied me to the sofa upstairs. The old woman held a rope. 5 minutes, the old man said. It must be exact, so he doesn't stay behind. It was 9:55 p.m. The lights cut out again. The rope tightened around my neck in complete darkness. I couldn't see them, but I felt their presence close, watching, waiting. My lungs burned. I kicked, clawed, begged, but the sound wouldn't escape my throat. My heartbeat roared in my skull. Every second stretched into eternity. I remember thinking of my father, of responsibility, of how I should have listened to instinct that first night. The world narrowed to black edges creeping into my vision. Then silence. When I opened my eyes again, I was seated on that same sofa. The smell was gone. The house felt warm. Across from me stood my son, pale, nervous. "You're on time," I told him calmly. Behind me, my wife adjusted herself on the couch. "Don't speak to them," I whispered as he stepped inside. The dog barked at him, at me, and somewhere deep in my mind, buried under something heavy and ancient, a voice screamed to remember. But it was already 10 p.m., and we only had 10 minutes.